Silent Hill 2, one of the greatest video game stories ever told, is getting resurrected for a modern audience. Should such a horror classic contort and maniacally twist itself to fit today's modern standards, or should it just accept its inevitable fate and stay in the water? Let's talk about it. I don't really talk much about Silent Hill on the channel, at least not directly. I've never made videos about it, but I do bring it up all the time. I am a huge fan of Silent Hill. My first game was Origins, rocky start, I know, but then I progressed to Silent Hill 3 and 4, and those were terrifying psychological horror games. Silent Hill 3 was one of the best looking games on the PlayStation 2. And the fourth one was so creative and imaginative with its body horror and paranormal horror that it left a permanent mark on my creative tastes in horror media consumption. To my regret, Silent Hill 2 is a game that I had once shunned as a kid. I remember renting it once somewhere around the summer of 2007 or 8, and upon first glance I just thought to myself I'd rather play Silent Hill 3. It looked better, it looked more interesting, it looked like it played better. I was young, obsessed with graphics and gameplay, and all the other things that greatly redeemed Silent Hill 2 just went over my head. I finally had done the right thing and gave it a second chance about 5 years ago. It was a dark time. Much like James Sunderland, I too was haunted by loss and grievance. I had my own nightmares, my own personal pyramid head that I had conjured up for myself. I even had my own lake. Silent Hill 2 never impressed me as a conventional game, but the way it depicted depression spoke to me on a deeply personal level. This isn't a horror game that wants to scare you, but just like Maria, it wants to stay with you. Its greatest achievement is not that it is a startling experience, it's that it's an unexpectedly serene one. And that is, ironically, what's so terrifying about it. It's not grandirized, it's quiet, it's authentic. It's almost like reading Edgar Allan Poe. You don't get his words at first, but he says so much with so little, and when you do finally get it, it lives in your mind, it stays there rent-free. The original Silent Hill 2 is the same saddening poetry. It's literature in video game form. It is a masterpiece of storytelling. I think we can all agree that this is the main point of contention in regards to the upcoming remake. The surreal experience that it offers is so eerily therapeutic, so particular, so fragile, that even the slightest of tweaks could shatter the magic that had captivated so many of us. I have never played a game from Bloober Team, and maybe I should, but it seems the studio has generated divisive opinions to say the least, most notably in regards to how they treat mental health. I have no say in that regard. Let's get one thing out of the way. Remakes might be able to capture the same essence of the original, but they never capture the same magic. What and how we originally experience something depends on time and place in our lives. Whenever we engage with something, we bring all of our baggage and presuppositions with us. We somehow expect these old things to feel as new as back when they were new. And that's just not how life works. The Silent Hill 2 remake, regardless if it keeps all the same lines, the same plot beats, the same twists, the same locations and puzzles, it's still not gonna feel the same. And to newcomers who will experience it for the first time, it won't even matter. When we played the original Silent Hill 2, we had also experienced a remake of sorts. For those of you unaware, Silent Hill 2 is a modern interpretation of Fyodor Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, a multifaceted psychological thriller novel that I had started reading merely days before Konami announced the Silent Hill transmission. What are the odds? I mean, geez, talk about impeccable timing, alright. But whenever somebody discusses Silent Hill 2, there's never a comparison to the book. It's always judged on its own merits. The new generation of players will do exactly the same. They will not judge the remake based on the original game, because for all we know, they might never even get to play the original game. This is the gateway to them experiencing a classic. We had our Silent Hill 2. This is going to be their Silent Hill 2, their way of experiencing it. And I'd like to believe Bloober Team are fully aware of the magnitude of such a responsibility, and I am going to examine the trailer from that lens. Regardless of how one feels about this reveal, it's a really promising trailer, and I'll be explaining why. If you happen to enjoy the video so far, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I do long, in-depth video essays on games that interest me, usually dark ones, and every once in a while I make a discussion video about an interesting game topic or expressing my thoughts on an upcoming game, just like I'm about to do now. Right from the beginning, we see two major differences in the upcoming remake: the art style and the tone. In the original, the color grading consisted of grays, greens, and browns. Silent Hill 2's remake is instead following suit with the Resident Evil 4 remake. The color grading now has a bluer, colder sheen. That is the art style they're going for, but what about the tone? The original rendition of James Sunderland portrayed a friendly but reserved everyday man. He carried himself stiffly and you could never get a good sense of who he was. Much like the town, he felt unnatural, even if on the surface nothing seemed to be wrong with him. The remake changes that about James. It doesn't seem to be concerned with portraying James as an enigmatic figure. There are plenty of close-up shots of James in this trailer. It clearly wants to direct your attention to him, to notice his behavioral changes on a micro level, his perspiration-inducing anxiety, his exhausted squints, his disassociations from reality as he feels the stubble on his face and slowly ceases to recognize the James in the mirror that he once knew. This remake doesn't want you to fixate on Silent Hill, it wants you to fixate on James, to suffer alongside him. Silent Hill may be a physical town, but that's not what it truly ever represented. It never has. Silent Hill is an allegory for the mind. It's also an allegory for duality, for conflicted thoughts. In Dostoevsky's novel Crime and Punishment, the main character's name, Raskolnikov, comes from the Russian word Raskolnik, which means schismatic. This was intentional because the novel actually wanted to explore that schism, the split between who Raskolnikov thought he was and who Raskolnikov actually is. In Silent Hill terms, it's the real world versus the quote-unquote other world, and just like with Raskolnikov, it takes place in the mind. The duality of the real world and the other world is a physical manifestation of each Silent Hill character's schism. That is the true nature of Silent Hill. It's not a place, it's a metaphorical mirror. It's about coming to a crossroad, about making a choice. Are you going to live your life according to who you think you are, or are you going to actually accept who you truly are? This is why I think focusing more on James is a great idea for the remake. Silent Hill will always be an iconic town, but it's not about the town. It's about James. But speaking of the town, it looks absolutely breathtaking. The original town's fog was so thick even a knife couldn't cut it. There always seemed to be a light breeze, but now the weather system seems to be a lot more active, way more aggressive. It's full of autumn leaves flying in the harsh wind all day long. I like this change as well, because now it seems to align with James's more expressive behavior and fluctuating emotional states. The town seems to be mirroring James's personality even more, and not just through manifesting his thoughts into physical monstrosities. The weather system might probably be changing according to James's mood. Here we get a beautiful wide shot, and I love the symbolism here. Remember the crossroad I just mentioned? This is what it symbolizes. James is at a crossroad both literally and figuratively, foreshadowing the difficult choices he has to make for himself. And that is the point of no return. He has to see this through. We then start to see more of the interior locations, and the color grading switches from cold blues to intense oranges. In terms of color theory, blues and oranges complement one another. And since the release of movies such as Blade Runner 2049, the style of blue and orange color grading schemes seems to have become insanely popular. Creatures such as the nurses represent James's forbidden desires, his fears, and his anger. There is a possibility that the orange tint will be used to represent these parts of James's thoughts, whereas the blue tint would then be used to represent other parts such as his loneliness, depression, guilt, regret, and other dark thoughts. I guess the only part of the trailer I wasn't really sold on was the last scene with Pyramid Head. I won't be the first to point out that his movement seems odd, and I won't be the last. But that's not why this scene stood out to me, it's the door. I just have this really bad feeling that the helmet is actually clipping through the door, but the scene is so cropped that you cannot see it. Is it just me? Let me know if you see it too. It just feels so wrong. Speaking of letting me know, what are your thoughts on Silent Hill 2's remake so far? Love it? Hate it? Tell us what you think in the comments section. Let's get some opinions up in here. Back to the verdict. So far, I like the Silent Hill 2 remake. So far. The cinematography and motion capture have really caught my attention, and since Silent Hill 2 lives and dies on its storytelling, well, that's a good start. This trailer shows beautiful shot after beautiful shot. I like that the remake leans more into its Eastern European inspirations. The new color grading scheme almost makes it feel like you're watching a post-apocalyptic Slavic horror story, like The Stalker or the Metro series. And speaking of Stalker, given the way the cinematography is composed, the trailer felt as if I was watching someone emulate Andrei Tarkovsky, who, if you're unaware, was not only a renowned Russian filmmaker, but one of the greatest filmmakers who ever lived. I also like the new version of James Sunderland. Admittedly, I was thrown off by the change at first, but I definitely liked the new design. The way he expresses so much anger and frustration in the remake definitely seems to channel more of the Raskolnikov protagonist from Crime and Punishment. All of this says nothing about whether or not these changes are for the better or the worse. It just means that I like how it is embracing the works of art that inspired it. There's no guarantee it will live up to the original, but there are some things about it that I think should feel reassuring at the moment. For starters, there are members of Team Silent who have returned to oversee the production and development process of the remake. Creature designer Masahiro Ito and composer Akira Yamaoka were integral to the success of the original, and I think their involvement should not be underestimated. Whether Bloober Team can portray mental health properly is up for debate. What's not up for debate, however, is that they absolutely love the Silent Hill IP, and that the influence can be seen in all of their work. Perhaps Bloober Team's weak spot isn't that they can't make a good Silent Hill game, but that perhaps that they are unable to write a story that can be separated from their influence. This is most likely the opportunity they've always been waiting for, and I seriously doubt that they'll want to be remembered as the group that tarnished Silent Hill 2's legacy. As they say, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. If Bloober Team is known for making Silent Hill games in all but name, then perhaps the only way they'll ever reach their true potential is when they decide to finally put a name on it. And with that, the Raven draws to a conclusion. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.